What is up, guys? Welcome back. We are officially on day 2 of the budget Coyote swap. If you don't know, I am doing a budget swap Coyote on my 89 Foxbody, the cheapest way possible. So let me turn the camera around and show you what we got done yesterday. All right, so yesterday, if you didn't see the video, which is live now, we got the engine bay all smoothed out. Obviously got the engine out. Got the Coyote prepped on the K-member, long tube headers. So today the plan is to try and get it stabbed in here. I gotta throw another coat of paint on here. But get the engine in here, try and get front suspension back together, and then work on trying to sort out drive shaft. Need to sort out the brakes, and then potentially start on the wiring, which is gonna be interesting because that's gonna be a whole standalone system that I gotta make off of the F-150 harness. So without further ado, let's jump into it and get working on this thing. All right, so first order of business I'm working on is the master cylinder. I'm just gonna make a plate that will adapt from the 4 holes of the booster to the 2 holes on the master cylinder. I've got the Mustang booster tore apart because I stole the push rod out of it. So I'm gonna make a cardboard template with these holes and those. Cut it out of this plate here. I've got the 2 pieces of the push rod, so we'll cut those, sleeve them to the right length. That's the next step while paint dries. All right, this is the template I come up with, so we'll cut this out of steel. This is just gonna be temporary because I do plan on swapping to Hydro Boost in the future, as well as adding power steering back onto the car. But this is just to get the car running and driving for the time being and upgrade it later. So let's get this transferred to steel, get it cut out, and go from there.
Which ones are you working on? Okay, hang on a second. Oh gosh darn it, there we go. I got the other one on the bottom with my...
All right, so fast forward, I did a lot of work off camera. This is the plate I came up with. It's drying currently. I welded the 4 original studs in and then countersunk some bolts through to mount the master cylinder. As soon as that's dry, we'll throw it in. We also are deleting the proportioning valve, at least for the time being, and then we got to reflare these 2 lines because the fittings change sizes between the proportioning valve and the master. So we're going to cut those off, reflare those. Once the master's in, then we can throw this engine in. All right, we're going to end up shortening these lines up. There's no reason for them to wrap all the way around the master. We'll cut them off and then wrap them around here. So I'm gonna cut these off before I throw the master back in. Probably right around the bend, if we got enough to play with. All right, so master's installed. We reflared the brake lines, rerouted them. Brought this one up through the fender well instead of wrapping underneath. It gets that out of the way. Got these tucked in nice and tight. Eventually, I would like to redo these and get these off of the firewall, but I got bigger fish to fry at the moment. So I believe now we can stab that thing back in here. All right, once again, it is back in, and we got just enough room on those brake lines. We're taking our custom engine lifting apparatus off, and what do we tackle next? Transmission crossmember probably, and try and square up the... All right, so on here, I'm gonna start working on this trans crossmember, making one. I think the plan is to use the factory bushings and then fabricate one out of some 1x2 rectangle tube. My brother and dad are gonna start throwing the front suspension back together. and get this thing somewhat rolling. I gotta redo the steering shaft, but we don't have material at the moment. We're waiting on that. So we're just gonna keep plugging away. Okay, so I got the factory 4-cylinder crossmember here. I just pulled the bushings out of it so that I can cut these ends off, and that's the only part I'm going to use. Alright, so I got the factory F-150 trans mount here, and I'm going to cut it off just below these bolt holes. It's similar to how the Stifler's crossmember mount is. Alright, so my brother and dad got the front suspension back together. I think I forgot to mention, I bought lowering springs for the car. So lowering springs are in. I'm utilizing the stock lower control arms with the UPR coil buckets. This is where I am so far on the trans cross member. It just tacked up right now. I gotta cut these extra legs off, and then I'm looking into using this as my rubber trans isolator. And then we'll just do a plate across the top of here. Yeah, gotta make my plate for here, weld up this, trim that off, and we'll almost be on the trans cross member. All right, little progress update. I'm almost done with the trans cross member, but we have something a little bit more interesting going on. So this is a case of don't do what we're doing, but we're doing it anyways. We've got the F-150 drive shaft, and then we've got the 4-cylinder drive shaft, and we've sleeved
2 3/4
to 3 inch.
3 inch.
We've sleeved the Mustang drive shaft inside the F-150 one, all the way up, you know, more than halfway-ish. Mm-hmm. Properly spaced with
dental floss
and Sawzall blades. So
I'm just eyeballing roughly about the same amount of gap. So I've seen cars go on the road with more run out on their drive shaft and less vibration. So
yeah,
but don't do this. You take this to your local drive shaft shop, and
depending on how well this works, this may or may not stay this way, but I'm planning on swapping out the rear end anyways, so we didn't want to like make a drive shaft and then have to change it for an 8.8. I don't know if there's a difference there, so we're just doing this for now. That'll do, donkey. So this will be temporarily permanent until it unpermanents itself.
well, yeah. What needs cut here.
Yeah.
New piece of 3-inch tube. New yoke to go to the 8.8 when you swap the 8.8. But
yes,
this will let you put it into drive.
Well, and
pull
yes.
it out. And then, oh yeah, and then don't worry about the cracked yoke.
Than that. All right, so drive shaft's in. My brother went ahead and painted it for me. Green. Anyways, drive shaft's in. We actually spun it. It doesn't have that much run out in it. So again, don't worry guys, it's not forever. Here's the trans cross member in. Just used part of the F-150 mount and then made a little tab, rubber mount. Put some washers in there so I have some up and down adjustment on the trans itself. So now we can set this thing down, and I believe the wiring is the next thing I'm gonna tackle. And we got a game plan going on the fuel system too. All right, car's down, sitting on its own weight. It doesn't really look a whole lot lower to me, but it's also gonna probably settle more. We're gonna go ahead and throw the radiator in it and start figuring out the cooling system as well. All right, well, it is end of day 2. We're all tired. Engine is back in the car. We've been kind of pondering around looking at just what next steps are for tomorrow as far as cooling system, fuel system, and I'm going to start tackling the wiring, which I know a lot of you guys were curious about. So yeah, if you guys have any questions, comments, drop those down below, and tune in for the next one.